so welcome back to the Tarik show. This is episode 2 of season 2. It has been an extremely long while since we shot an episode, but the good news is we are back to spill the tea.
Oh, crazy damn a bit.
All right, so on today's show we have the usuals, Aisha, Edwin, and G.
Hello.
And for the topic of today's discussion, does good grades matter as a student? Right. So before we proceed on, let's actually get one thing straight. So the axis of discussion that we're going to focus on today is going to be more towards number one, your student. So a student in Malaysia is someone from the age of, when do we start schooling? 7, right?
7.
7
Five,
all the way
5
up,
is kindergarten.
5 in kindergarten all the way up to up to your degree, right? So that's your student. And good grades in Malaysia, our grading system is above a certain percentage, you're an A. Below a certain percentage, you are whatever grade you are. So regularly
Oh.
above 80 or 90 is considered an A in Malaysia lah. Right? So just wanted to ask you guys, personally, do you think that grades matter to a student? I think we would start with Aisha first.
Wow.
Because
straight
of
up
the
it
hum
gets
lah.
Oh, okay. Next time I'll just let G do it first. Okay, personally for me, with like how my family was, like how I was brought up in my family, yes, good grades matter. Like I think it's the Asian stereotype. If you don't get an A, you fail. Like you're a failure in life. I think
I,
it's
I think
true.
a better saying for that is you are Asian, not Vision.
Not a
or
Vision.
Exactly.
Vision, yeah. So personally, for me, good grades do matter, but good grades for me, as a university student, would be like Dean's List lah, around 3.7, 3.67, or actually 3.5 and above. I'm completely fine with. So that's how I define good grades. If I was in secondary school, good grades would definitely be A minus. If B plus is pushing it a little, I might come home and be kicked out. But like, so yeah. Personally, for me, good grades do matter. But my good grade standard is, for now, 3.5 and above.
All right. So, what about you, Edwin?
So when I was a kid, right, my mom used to like always nag me about getting good grades and everything. And I study and get good grades lah. Okay, but once I came to university, I don't know what happened to my mom, but she's like, as long as you try your best, it's okay to me.
Agreed.
so
That's
so like I feel like grades are important, but the higher your grade, it's just the more negotiating power you have over your employers. But other than that, I don't think it determines who you actually are.
Okay, cool. That's a good point as well. What about Yuji?
Uh, I think grades are important lah. Like
oh,
in
do
my
you?
whole life,
do you?
grades have been important to me personally. Ever since primary actually. I If I get anything below A, right, I'll be super sad.
Aww.
Oh, what
Actually, I'm
happened?
still sad about my SPM also. I got an A minus for my AdMath, still sad, still a bit sad.
Aw.
But then when I went to that university, right, it's like as long as I pass lah,
What happened?
because it's completely like how different lah compared to school, right? Because if you don't pass, you have to repeat the whole thing again. So I don't want to repeat an engineering subject. And you have to wait a whole year before you repeat it. So better pass than fail or anything. And for me, in my degree life, 3.5 and above is considered a good grade lah for me. Like overall CGPA lah, not GPA, because this sem is going to be very bad.
No, don't say that.
So yeah, it matters.
Okay, so to what extent do you think it matters?
Are you asking everyone, not just me?
Or
Yeah, I'm asking Yuji.
To what extent?
Yeah, since everyone already covered it matters. So we're looking for a different perspective.
Okay, to the extent where it doesn't, if it actually like, how to say, you're mentally tired, right? Because you're chasing good grades, and maybe you should consider yourself like, are you actually okay with, like, actually, are you like okay with prioritizing your grades, or should you prioritize yourself? You know, I mean, 3.0 is also okay. 2.0 is also okay. It depends on you. You know how you look at it.
okay lah.
Yeah. So before I move on to the next question, from my side, right? Personally, what my mom would say, I will still be proud of you, no matter what kind of A you bring back.
What kind of
What kind of A?
As long as it's an A.
But actually, over the years, also when you enter university, and I think it's a common factor among us as well. Our parents do mellow down a little bit compared to when we were in primary and
Yeah.
secondary school lah.
Yeah.
Right. So on to the next question. Right. Do you think good grades makes a good student? Isha.
Is it because I made a sound? Is it because I made a sound? Okay,
Yes.
okay, okay. No, I do not think good grades equal a good student, because in my dictionary, my world, a good student is someone who is very balanced. Like you have like you focus on your studies, you do extracurricular activities, you're a nice person, you're social, you're friendly, and let's face it, like people who put their all into studying probably most probably 90% of the time do not know how to socialize with other people. And I don't think it makes you a good student, because like what are you doing with your life when you just put your all into a book, into all these subjects, and you come out with like no friends, something like that. That's in my like my book what a good student is. So I don't think that just because I have good grades that I'm like a good student. But for me right now, like how I've been studying, my grades and everything, and my social life and everything, I think I'm doing pretty well. I'm praising myself a bit, so yeah, that's my opinion on it. I hope you all agree.
What the heck?
All right, G. What about you?
what was the question again?
Aduh,
Wow.
Jai.
Do you think good grades makes a good student?
Simple lah. No, no, no. I mean, you can have how do I say? I know lah. I personally know people, okay, with really good CGPA, right? 3.98, 4.0, right? But when you talk to them, right? Like when you try to talk to them, they're really awkward. You know, they have zero social skills, so it makes it hard for you to communicate with them. And how do I say? Uh, as a student, like Aisha said, you should be balanced lah. Not just academically, you know, like co-curriculum and all that. Also, you should be balanced enough, you know. But you, how do I say? As a student, you also cannot fully focus on co-curriculum lah. You know. Also, I know another person. Personally, I know. I think you all know also.
In fact, we were actually talking about him prior to the
before,
recording.
before the recording, right? Okay. So you don't need to be fully focused on co-curriculum and like only co-curriculum or only academics. You have to be balanced in both. So like if you have a 3.0 CGPA and you're good with social skills, you have other skills, you know, like you know how to create a website, or you know how to code. I think that's a good thing. So if you have a 4.0 CGPA, you don't have any social skills, you cannot talk to people, you don't have any other skills except for studying that. I think that makes you, I won't say a bad student, but not the
Not good.
best, not the best student, like overall. That's all.
All right. So, Edwin, do you have anything to add on to the particular notion?
Yeah, I agree with G. Like, people should have like, it's called their personal lives, but like in my opinion, it might be like unpopular or what with you guys lah. But like, I feel like a student is someone who like studies for their like subjects and whatever, right? So like, as if you want to, if you're a good student, that like that directly means that you have good grades, but it doesn't really mean if you're a good student, you're a good person in general. So he might just be a good student. He just sits there and reads the books as a student should be, but it doesn't mean he has any other thing, you know. So yeah.
I'm actually generally curious in a sense that, right? So all of us have this one person who's either too much to one side or too much to the other. So either being too social, or maybe too bookish, or too co-curricular, grindy kind of
I
personality,
think
right?
we all know the same person now.
Yeah. So to so what do you think would be, or maybe why do you think they are in that particular way? So I do you know the full quote of the jack of all trades, master of none?
I thought that's the
Yeah.
master of one, then a master of one.
Yeah. That's how the full quote is something along the lines of jack of all trades, master of none, though often better than a master of one.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So one thing that a lot of us as students strive to do is to sort of strike balance. But what is it? What is the factor that actually affects this general balance?
What
It's a
do you
really tough
think
question.
factors?
I think how you're brought up, or like the society around you. Like for some people who are too like studious, they might be brought up in a family that really focuses and prioritizes studies, something like that. And some families, they're more laid back. They let their child like find what they want to do. Maybe this child thinks that he's really good in like group work or like curricular activities, maybe sports, but he's not that good in studies. So that's what he focuses on all his life. And in university, when you're in a new place, I think it's all about comfort, your comfort zone, you know. So some people, they find comfort in getting A's, getting like straight A's, like they prioritize this kind of stuff because that's how they've been brought up. That's the thing that they've surrounded themselves with for most of their life up until this point. So yeah, that's, I think that's one of the factors that contribute to this like unbalanced scale.
Yeah, I personally agree with Asia as well. Edwin G, anything else to add on that particular notion?
Probably your
So
friends
lah,
also.
Yeah,
friends.
yeah. That could be a possible. Yeah, true. Also,
Yeah.
lah.
Yeah, because if your friends are like, fully focused on studying, then most probably you'll be influenced to study also lah.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, if you feel guilty or something
Uh,
like that.
Like
I
my
mean,
old roommate, he used to study all the time. So when I
I mean,
wake up late, right, and I see him studying, I'm like, yeah, I should be studying also, right? And then it's like a brief moment of guilt, then I just go back to sleep.
That sounds like Yuji. Absolutely sounds like
Gee, all right.
yeah. I mean, but personally, right? I'm more of that person that is. I'm not exactly influenced by what other people do around me, in a sense that I have my own stand and I have a reason why I do lah. So, if let's say I have a roommate that studies a lot, and if I choose not to study, I would be like, you do what you want, as long as you don't disturb me, I'm happy. Yeah, sort of it's that sort of along those lines lah.
yeah.
All right. So since we've defined, things about balance and stuff like that, so do you think good grades play a big part or maybe a key role in your future successes?
No,
G.
I mean, stop. Key role, I think it does that. I mean, you can be in good social skills. You have different set of skills, right? But if you want a job, I think you cannot get a job with a. I mean, like 2.0 is okay, but it's really hard for you to get a job, like that.
Mm.
Like if you have a 3.5, maybe it's easier lah compared to 2.0. And if you are with like, or maybe you have a 3.0 with skills, then maybe it's like the best balance that I think. Compared to you have like 4.0 with no other skills except for whatever you studied for. If you get 2.0 and with skills, it's kind of how you say, you just passed, right? So it's like
The bare minimum lah.
bare minimum, kind of bad also. I won't call it bad, lah. There are people with 2.0 and still have a job, right? Personally, I think 3.0 good skills is okay lah. Like how is optimum lah.
Okay, got it. All right, so maybe to also elaborate on the question, um, because I think in one of our previous episodes we also sort of I would say try to actually break down the meaning of success for each of us, right? So
Yeah.
right. So one thing that I always know that success means very different things in each and everyone's lives, right? So maybe we can also take that into consideration. So Isha, do you think good grades would play a big part in your future success?
All right. So I think a few episodes ago I said that my version of success is just being happy. And how am I happy? With a job that allows me to
Money.
be happy. Yes, but I'm not like Edwin. I'm not like no, I want that. But yeah, it's like partial. That's one of the things that contribute to what I think is success for me. I won't necessarily say that good grades play a really big part. I think good grades just help you get past that stepping stone, like getting interviews and everything. And then how you do in the interviews, it doesn't really depend on your grade anymore. But there are also people who don't really get like good grades for me is 3.5 and above, right? People below 3.5, like G said, 3.0 also might be taken into these interviews. People under that, they might go for apprenticeship or something like that. So I personally don't think good grades will really make you like successful in what you think is successful, but it's it plays a part. It's not a big part, but it's a part in just like helping you uh, taking the first step after you graduate. So yeah,
Advantage lah, basically.
yeah.
Yeah, Edwin, what about you?
Uh,
Mr.
Money.
okay lah. I mean, people with good grades, I'm pretty sure they might be able to land a job easier than someone who doesn't score as well. But it also, like, in my opinion, comes down to luck lah. Like, there are some people, not like hard work also, because there are some people who actually just didn't get the opportunity to get like to good education, or maybe in their studies they have to part-time work and everything, so they can't actually focus on their studies to get good grades. And later in their work life, since they're used to working so hard and everything, they actually like surpass these people who gets really good grades. So oh, and not to mention luck is plays a big part in actually like people's success. Like you might be like qualified for everything, but you're in the wrong time. For example, in a pandemic right now, there are no like
Mhm.
contracts available. So I guess it helps. It contributes for you to like get a good job, but overall success, I think there's a lot of factors that come into play. Personally, for me.
Yeah, so just to add on what I feel about what those factors are, I always felt that the biggest factor for future successes, I think one of it would be your personal attitude towards things, lah. In a sense that um, one thing that constantly striving for getting good grades is because you want to get a good grade, there is a certain amount of work that you have to do behind it. So with the right attitude and with the right work ethic, logically speaking, and if you play your cards right and whatnot,
Mhm.
you should be able to get whatever grade that you desire. And then this thing that I really like is all about your attitude towards the thing. Because in university, especially, there are a lot of people with good grades, but they have attitude problems. So one example would be right. This person has also she has a good work ethic, and this is based of a real story, but I'm just censoring the name lah, right? So this person has a good work ethic, but she's very money minded, and she would do anything for money.
Oh.
Okay, so I think she worked at people who give out credit cards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you bring up credit cards, so if you like, I would say, do you sell credit cards or do you?
So it's a sim, right?
You have them subscribe lah.
Yeah, you help them subscribe to a credit card service, I would say.
Yeah.
you get paid a certain amount of commission.
Mhm.
So for someone with very little money in her life, and money became a big priority, when I think one of the customer applicants, the form, there's some information missing, so she cannot actually submit it to the bank. So she forged some of the information,
Oh.
right? But in her mind, it was okay because she wants the money. Every time you get someone to subscribe to a credit card, maybe you get 50 or 100. So if every day you get 5 people to subscribe to a credit, that's $500 extra,
Yeah.
right? So that comes down to your personal attitude and things like that. So that's kind of the problem here. So I mean, in the end, she did get blacklisted, and the banks take serious action against those kind of
Forgery.
incidents. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So that was actually quite sad, but it is a result of your attitude.
Mhm.
And also in university, I think we might have witnessed a lot of people with good grades, but at least we've encountered lah. But they also have, I would say, a decent attitude towards things, and like they would have a good work ethic, but the attitude lah.
Yeah. Questionable
True.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So what? Why do you? Okay. So next question, right?
Mm.
Why do you think students with good grades are so glorified in these days?
Are they?
Hey, if actually, yeah, in Asian households is something that is sort of like,
Like
if
they
let's
compare you
say,
to cousins.
yeah, that's one thing. So if you had a white neighbor named Jimmy, yeah, if Jimmy got a B, it's okay, but you must get an A plus.
A plus.
What's what's 99? What's 99 when you can do 100?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what is this? Uh, this question is sort of like, in a sense that we live in an Asian culture lah, where grades are something looked upon in families. So
Mm.
why do you think it's actually glorified? What are the key factors that I would say? I have one answer lah, family.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
family
I
plays a
think
big
you
part
answered
too.
the question. Like it is what it is. I don't think any of us like have known a life or a family that thinks like differently, you know? I feel
Unless
like all my
I mean,
friends
why
are
why is it glorified in the first place, lah?
yeah, like must be down to those like history or something
Yeah,
like that.
because I think because of how education, good education helps you, you know,
Get
change your
good
lifestyle. You know,
jobs or something
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
If you're from a hard family, like you how to say, you're not so easy,
Mm.
and you don't have much money, and then you see like your cousins, they get good grades, and then they have a career and they're making good money, then
Yeah.
obviously they can compare lah.
Yeah, that's true.
Because everyone wants a good life, everyone wants
Yeah.
to make more money for a better
Yeah.
lifestyle, basically.
No one's ever satisfied.
Yeah.
It's like people here think that oh good grades automatically give you means that you're set for life or something like that,
Mm.
which is what most families think. Like my family was very strict about it too, and then until I had to tell them like it don't really like it don't really matter. What matters is the opportunities that I take in order to use those good grades to have more opportunities that will benefit me in the future, something like that.
Edwin, anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think it's like what I think G said lah. It's right. Uh, yeah, the family plays a big part into why like good grades actually matter for all of us. Like, uh, my cousin actually is she's a pretty good student, and she recently, if I'm saying, she recently got a job in London or something like that. And I feel like like really pressured as well to actually like get good grades and land a
Mm.
job somewhere. Because my parents' expectations are actually quite high. Because my mom has a pretty good job, and my dad also worked overseas, so the expectations of me are, yeah, up there.
So one thing would be family expectation.
Yeah,
Mm.
Another thing would also be your family to hope for you to get a better life lah, right? So
yeah,
but since we are not talking about what is this, the current education system, and whether it will actually help you land a job based on whatever skills you have today. So I think we would skip that part lah.
Mm.
But for me, right, good grades are how I want to put it, in my like what Isha said, right, opportunities. These good grades are always good keys to opportunities that people offer, in a sense that I'm not sure why, but it's sort, I would say it's sort of the status quo. In our lives, scholarships is one thing, but we have not actually entered the job market yet, right? So
Yeah.
during scholarship applications, grades are very important, but as discussed earlier, they are only the first step.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever after that door of getting you the application is all you. Whatever
Yeah.
skills you have garnered over the years, what is your attitude, how you respond in an interview, and stuff like that. So, in a sense that I would summarize this question in a way that one, your expectations as family, and two, what is this? They want you to have a good life, lah.
Yeah.
Right? But doesn't mean they know what's best for you. It's sort of a recommendation, like, hey, you do this, hopefully you'll be somewhere one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm sure everyone has certain educational stress, right? So I mean, I think all of us faced that, and we also had a pretty tough semester together.
Semester
Yeah.
4.
Oh.
Woo!
You can say it, but yeah, it's
project.
tough.
Oh no, let's not bring that up.
We will not talk about our project. It is history. So, do you think students should feel pressured, or they should be under pressure to have good grades?
No one wants to make
Ah!
a sound. No one wants to make a sound.
Can I start?
Yeah, anyway, go ahead, bro.
I mean, should be pressured. I I feel like they should be pressured into doing something, not necessarily good grades, because like there are like actually a lot of people, if you're not given a task to do or something, they're just gonna like stay idle, you know, like I don't, it's like unproductive. They're just gonna exist. So the pressure of having good grades like pushes them to try out something new, or like push themselves harder than ever before lah. So I feel like it's not the best thing, is like if it becomes a rat race where you dedicate like your entire life to it. I don't think that's really a good thing, but it's also important that there is a bit of pressure to get you going, to point you in certain directions, all and stuff like that.
All right, awesome. So just before we move on to the next person, just wanted to share a pretty interesting thing about stress and or this pressure, lah, right? So there was a study. I remember in one of the TED talks where there was a study conducted on people in a certain area, somewhere in the US, right, on how stress affects their life, and their death rate, lah. So it turns out people actually die more from thinking that stress is bad for them than actual stress itself. You get what I mean?
Mm.
You're stressing about stress.
Yeah, in a way, right?
Yes.
So like what Edwin said, I think that would be sort of an example of positive stress, right? So since I mean pressure is a good thing, right? So it keeps you going and stuff like that. But stress management is another issue. So on the issue of stress management as a student, thinking about being stressed is more harmful than actually being stressed. So people, okay, so when in the TED talk, right, what the person said, I totally forgot the name, but what she said is this: stress is actually your body's natural response to how to say I would say combat nature's, like, the flight response,
Yeah.
fight or flight response, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that response thing. It's sort of that. So it sort of gets you ready for a tough situation. So your heart pumping faster, right? So more blood. You start breathing maybe a little heavier and stuff like that. So that is stress. So that thing you should think it of a way of using it to advantage rather than letting it cripple you. And like what the study proved, that people die thinking of stress and not being stressed.
Yeah.
All
Use
right,
it to
so
motivate you or something.
yeah. In that sense, lah. So yeah, Aisha,
Oh yes.
why don't you continue on?
Oh okay. I actually like 100% agree with Edwin. I think that pressure is necessary, but like pressure is necessary to push someone to do something about whatever they want to do, like good grades or like curriculum and everything like that. But wait, I lost my point. Okay, let me just think it through. Okay, what was the question again? Do I think if should
Students should
students
feel pressured.
to get good grades?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think they should feel pressure to get good grades. I personally like believe that you should just like what like what G always does, like just go with the flow, stuff like
Right the
that.
way.
Yeah, like there are always gonna be opportunities left and right. I don't think you should feel pressured to have like amazing grades. You should just like what you said, like have enough stress to motivate you to get like whatever you want, whether it be good grades or whether you want to achieve this goal or that goal. So for me, I only feel pressured because of my family, but if can, like I don't want to feel pressured to get this guy. I don't want to feel scared. Like what? Why? How is it fun to feel scared about what your grades are gonna be when the semester ends? Like right now, like like all of us right now. It's just not fun, and I don't like stress or pressure. But in a way, it does like make me motivate myself to achieve whatever like outcome that I want, lah, which is above 3.5. So yeah, that's my answer.
G,
Yo,
last event of the day. Let's go.
Let's go, G.
stress, pressure. I think important, kind of important, but not
What answer is that?
I,
not done with my essay yet. It's important, but not until it affects you really bad, lah. Like
Mm.
if you want to talk about bad stress, I will talk about the lab we had the last 2 semesters.
That
Semester
was
two and
Since we
semester
already
That
three.
was
mentioned this lab,
that
since we
was
already
bad.
mentioned the lab, right, G, why don't you just share what happened in the lab?
Which lab, specifically?
All of
A
it, I
lot of
think.
bad experience.
Yeah, since we already mentioned the lab, lah, why don't you just elaborate one of the stressful labs, G?
Yeah. One of the stressful lab actually was in our last like this semester lah. Semester 4, right? We had a lab session, a lab subject. Okay, it's called what was it called? Electronics lab.
Digital electronics. Yeah.
Digital
Digital
electronics lab.
electronics lab. Okay. So we had a project lah. We had a project. Uh, okay, the project is like a final project. Okay, and then the marks are taken into consideration for 2 subjects. Okay, the subject is digital electronic lab and another subject called digital
The theory
electronics.
one.
Yeah. So what happened was we learned Verilog coding, but it was rushed. Basically, we finished learning the whole thing within 1 month. So I personally couldn't catch up with what was happening in Verilog coding. Okay, and then the lecturer gave us the project. Okay,
Okay.
and then the lecturer said, you like find a mentor, like from your seniors. So we did find a mentor, and we got the code. So basically, what happened was the entire batch, like our whole batch, used the same code,
Yeah, that was
Oh my
embarrassing.
the
gosh.
same code, and that's not a problem. Basically, like not a lot of people. I would say a majority of our batch didn't understand the project because we didn't have enough time. Time was a problem for us because we had a lot of different assignments, we had tests. So during the presentation, how do I say? We were
Uh,
group number 18.
Eight.
Yeah,
Eight.
we're quite towards the end, lah.
uh,
Okay, so we were the 8th group, and I think at that point the lecturer was like, "We must know these kids lah." I gave them the assignment. They all just copied their seniors code and they're just presenting the same thing that they don't understand. So
Yeah.
what happened during our presentation was we were cut short, like basically, for finishing
Yeah.
the whole thing. We were given how many minutes? Five?
Yeah. 10.
5? 10 minutes. We were done within 3 or 4 minutes because we didn't want to He
He didn't want to see it.
Yeah, he don't want us to present anymore. He was like, okay lah, I already know what they're going to present next, so I'll just move on to the next group and hear the same thing, which was actually true. So, but okay lah, at least Avi saved us with his honesty. I said okay.
Yeah.
Lol. I mean, I tried.
Cannot anymore.
I think it's because we didn't get enough support from the lecturers, to be honest. You know, like
Yeah,
they
right.
wasn't hands-on also, so it was quite
Hmm.
difficult to actually like visualize and conceptualize what's happening.
I
I
mean,
don't blame the lecturer 100% lah.
Yeah.
I think what he thought was okay, just that we didn't enough.
Didn't
In
understand.
between all the projects we had assignments, we had this. We also had another lab. At that time we had lab 8, I think.
Oh yeah, that lab.
Yeah,
And
and then
even he said the project was going to be hard, so
yeah,
I don't know what you expected, honestly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So back to the lab, right? I was saying just now, what is it? Lab 2 and lab 3, in semester 2 and semester 3, right? We're so pressured to finish every single week because one lab was supposed to be 1 credit hour, right? That subject lab.
Mm.
It actually took me the whole week, like 1 whole week to finish
Yes, exactly. Right.
It's true.
every single lab session, including the lab report. So, uh, like 2 semesters of lab, like in that way, like where I used to spend 1 week to finish the whole report, and then the semester 4 came, right? I can finish the report like within 2 days because I've been through so much like, stress, right? I know how to handle the lab report, submit it before the due date.
so what do you think? What's a good way for you to actually, or what could have been done better in that situation?
Which situation are you talking about?
Our
A
lab
lot of
situation. Our lab situation.
Lab situation.
Since you're all
Maybe a
pressured, right?
simpler project,
Mm.
not exactly what he gave. A simpler project should be fine, as long as you know the basic, as long as you can display basic understanding of Verilog should be fine already. But then that was the purpose of lab lah. Kan? So I'm not sure how to fix that lah. I think that's not my problem to fix. That's the problem for the lecturers to fix.
I
So
think
I leave it to them.
guidance.
Yeah, more guidance would have been actually
Yeah.
very helpful, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Because even
Yeah
in
lah, but
year one, when we started having online labs, they just left us to
Oh
Google
yeah,
everything by
mm,
ourselves.
mm.
that was
So
insane.
yeah, even when we finally had physical lab, like early this semester, it was actually like some of them helped guide us and some of them just like left us to do our own thing. But the ones that did help like guide us, it was just really helpful for us to understand, oh, why does this go here? Why does this go there? It's not easy. They think Googling it is easy, but it's not, because it's better if you just explain to us.
Or they record using a Nokia phone or something, bro.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
They recorded the brick or something, bro.
And then they're like, and then they come to the lab and like, kan awak tak tengok recording saya.
The recording confirm you can do one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Basically, more guidance would have been more helpful.
Yeah, and I
Right.
think like maybe the lab assistant themselves should be a bit more calm when I ask you how to connect, or like when I ask you how to check the IC, right? You don't like lash out
Shout.
and you shout at
Mm.
me, like okay, tak tahu, I guide you lah how to do, because it's like the first time in lab after the whole year, you know.
Mm.
It's my first time checking the IC, so maybe you can like guide me how to do it so that I don't ruin the IC, because if I ruin the IC also you will scold me again. So better you guide me
That's
before I destroy
true.
the IC.
That's true.
But ICs are cheap, you know. I don't understand why they're so pissed at it.
I have no idea.
That is for the lab assistant's problem, lah. Like what
So,
G said, not my problem.
so
All
if
right, so
faculty, if you're watching this, uh,
I'm very sorry,
Uh,
I'm,
but we are only speaking the truth,
I think we're
and this
putting
is what.
everything in the
feedback.
system already, feedback already. Just read, and you will hear the same thing.
Yeah, all right. So I think this was a pretty good session. Before we end, on G's note of time, I learned a pretty interesting thing quite a few days ago. So time, one very interesting singkatan for time is test in measuring efficiency.
Oh.
All right. So with that being said, I would like to thank all the listeners who tuned in for today's episode. We will see everyone in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.